Hello, my dabblers. It is Easter week, day 4, getting closer and closer to Easter. Okay, we're going to be watercoloring today again, and tomorrow we're going to watercolor some more. So just make sure that as we go through our project today that you are leaving some watercolors for our project tomorrow, okay? So, of course, if we're watercoloring, you know you need a piece of watercolor paper, so grab that. Obviously, your liquid watercolors, your paintbrush, and then a cup of water to switch colors, and a paper towel to dry. You are also going to need to gather some materials on your own. Even if you do have a kit this week, you're going to need to go outside and find some things from your backyard, or maybe go for a walk in the woods somewhere, go for a hike with your family, and then you might want to gather your things and come back later and do this video, okay? So I picked up some pretty dandelions, just a cool stick that I found, little blossoms off of a tree branch, and some clovers, all right? So just any kind of fun things that you want to find outside. Even some cool rocks would be cool as well. So you're going to grab those items, and then you want to use either a black Sharpie or a black crayon, a black ink pen, something black that you can mark with, okay? So go ahead and round up those things. If you need to take some time to go and find those outdoor nature items, then go ahead and do that, and I'll be here whenever you're ready. All right. For today, my little artists, you can decide which way you want to turn this paper. If you want it to be sideways, that's fine. It can be up and down. It's totally up to you. I'll go ahead and just do mine up and down because I know I've got some big, tall sticks, long sticks and things like that. So what you want to do for this project is, with the items that you found outside, you're just going to lay those on your paper one at a time, and then once you have one on your paper, you're going to trace it. Now, when you're tracing, especially with these real kind of dainty, fragile pieces I have on here, it's okay if it's not like a perfectly connected line. If you kind of have to jump around a little bit, that's fine. You just want to be careful while you trace. You just want to get the general idea, the general shape of this object. So see how I've got like some broken lines? That's okay. It kind of is pretty even. Okay, and then I'm going to choose a spot for this dandelion. I'll go ahead and trace that. Did a wiggly line there to show that that's kind of a fuzzy item. And notice how on this one, I'm going to overlap it a little bit. You can certainly overlap things. Anytime that you overlap objects or have things go off the side of the page, it's always a great way to make your art a little more interesting. Okay, and again, as I trace this, I'm not being overly careful about getting everything just exactly right. I'm just kind of having fun with my marker and skipping around and just getting the basic idea of this plant or stick. Okay, there we go. So there's that. And I also had some clovers. So obviously that's not like a perfect little, clover shape. If I was just drawing one and I wanted it to look exactly like a clover, of course I would do, something like this. But it's okay in this project to not have this really obvious drawing of something. It's just a kind of an organic shape that we're making. Got another clover. I'll put in a little space down here. Okay. So again, none of these tracings that I'm doing look exactly like the object or the item. You know, when you look at this, you think, well, that's not a clover, but that's okay. We're just using these things from nature to help us create some interesting organic shapes. We've got one more thing that I found outside that I'll trace right there. And you could even use the same thing over and over again. If I wanted to do this stick again, or even just if I wanted to do part of the stick, maybe have that coming in from off the edge of the page. Maybe I just want part of the stick. And I'm just drawing very lightly with my marker. Okay, so now we have kind of all of these interesting lines that they give us the idea that these are plants, but they're not, they don't look all perfect and pristine. We've just kind of had some fun playing with using those items as a guide to create our drawing. And now that we have this gorgeous drawing of all of these spring plant inspired items, we can go ahead and watercolor this. Now, you don't need very much instruction from me when you do this portion, because really you're just gonna have fun using those liquid watercolors and painting this however you'd like to, okay? So I'm gonna go ahead and paint mine. You can watch me for a little bit and maybe get some ideas about what you want to do on yours with your colors. And when you paint this, it's okay to go outside the lines of what you have drawn. We've kind of already talked about how this painting, even though we're using items to trace, this is one of those paintings where you want to embrace imperfections that happen while you're working, because it gives it an interesting style. You're not trying to be perfect. Now, if you're noticing, I'm getting some really light pastel colors right here. And what I'm actually doing is I'm just adding water to these paints. I'm not even dipping my paintbrush in any colors right now, just the water. So I'm kind of watering down those colors right there on my paper so that they're a little lighter and pastel colored, which pastels are beautiful this time of year to use. So if you want to lighten up some of these colors on your paper, just add some water. Okay, so I am pretty much finished with mine. I've got kind of a big glob right here of paint, and I can take a paper towel. If you have some big globs somewhere and you want them to soak up and dry a little bit quicker, you can just take your paper towel and just dab it on there real gently. And you might even find that you like the effect that your paper towel has. It, again, is another way to get some of those really beautiful pastel colors. And there we have it. So there's my finished painting. And when you're doing artwork like this, um, you can always decide when is a good time for you to stop. Whenever you find yourself looking at your painting or your drawing and you think, wow, I really like that, that's usually a good sign that you should stop, because sometimes we just want to keep going and going and going. And when you do that, sometimes you wind up ruining something about your painting that you really liked. So whenever you feel content and you think, I'm really happy with this, that's a great time to just stop and admire your artwork and leave it just like it is. And I feel like that right now about mine. So I'm going to call this finished. Okay, I hope you enjoyed our activity for today. Mine is a little bit wet still, so I'm going to be careful about picking it up, but I'll sneak it up here a little bit as best I can. We don't want those paints to run. Okay, so I chose to do this for Easter week because obviously Easter happens around springtime when everything outside is so beautiful, and it's just a great way to incorporate nature in your artwork and get inspired by all the beauty that you see outside. So, your challenge for today, I had a couple of clovers that I used to trace, and as I was outside looking for these clovers, I'm not going to lie, I was definitely keeping my eye out for a four-leafed clover, but I wasn't lucky enough to find one. So your challenge today, as after you're done with your artwork, or maybe when you're searching for your items to trace, try and find a four-leaf clover, and if you do, I want to know. All right, thanks guys. Don't forget to post your pictures and have a great day.